Greetings, brothers. Welcome to the Blood Angels Commander channel.
Hello, it helps if I remember to turn on my camera before I go live. Good evening. How's everybody? I'm late tonight, like 15 minutes late, so we'll go with the fact that you're on time, cry check. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is our Sunday night Army List show, episode 173, apparently. Pretty crazy, so I'm looking forward to getting to episode 200 at some point. If you do enjoy tonight's show, then at some point you would be much appreciated if you consider hitting the thumbs up button. That does really help me out. And if you are new here and you want to learn more about Blood Angels on a weekly basis, my name is John, and we're going to look at 8 different army lists tonight. And there is still a bit of a backlog here, because obviously with the new codex, everybody wants their army list reviewed. So, we have a little bit of a backlog, but we're working through them. We used to do like 4 to 5 army lists. We've been doing 8. We'll try and do 8 maybe next week as well. And then maybe after that, we might be starting to get caught up with the influx of army lists we've had since the new codex. So we're going to get fired right into it. As always, I'll take questions from the chat. If you've got suggestions on improving the lists that we're talking about, please put them in chat as well, because they always help out. Sometimes you guys in chat see something that I don't see, and it's appreciated. Okay. Let's start. We're going to be starting with Zacharias. Zacharias has submitted lists before, so let's see what we've got. I think we've got some interesting lists tonight. We might have some Angelic hosts. We might actually have some Lost Brethren lists tonight for a change, so that'll be good to get into, because spoiler alert, most people are playing Liberator Assault Group. Spoiler alert, Liberator Assault Group is probably the strongest list that you can build. Okay. So we're going to have a captain with Rage-Fueled Warrior. We're going to have a chaplain with Speed of the Primarch with a jump pack. We're going to have Dante. We're going to have a Judasar. Common picks we see in a lot of lists. The Judasar has been making a bit of a resurgence. The Fight First enhancement working on a chaplain is also very, very common, because the +1 to wound kicks in even when you're charged. So that's something we're seeing a lot. And a lot of people are in love with this Rage-Fueled captain. He can spike incredibly high. So it makes sense. Double Impulsor. So we're going to have the Rage-Fueled captain in one, probably. We're going to have the Judasar, most likely with Blade Guard in the other. We have 2 Ballistus Dreadnoughts, nice and cheap, 260 point for some long-range firepower. We've got those Blade Guard. We've got the Company Heroes squad, so they'll be with the Rage-Fueled Captain. I actually think that's pretty decent, because that Rage-Fueled Captain with the Company Heroes, it gives him some good survivability. You're going to have 10 Death Company with +1 to wound with Fight First. You've Dante with the Sanguinary Guard. You're going to have a couple of squads of scouts. And then you're going to have a couple of squads of suppressors sneaking in there. Nice, interesting thing to see. So double ballistas, double suppressors. We certainly haven't seen that yet submitted by anyone, so that's interesting. I did think suppressors would start to sneak into the meta, because -1 to hit at 48 inches, I believe, is the profile from those suppressors. Is really not too bad. You only need to make a single hit, and if you're running multiple units of suppressors, then you can technically shoot multiple enemy units and make multiple enemy units -1 to hit. So I think it's actually pretty decent, the suppressors. They're not going to do very much damage. You know, they got to stand still because they're heavy, or you're only going to hit like 4 times. You are only strength 8. You're only AP 1. You can buy suppressors on the Games Workshop website, Brandon, but they are expensive. So on the Games Workshop website, they're bundled inside. I think if you search Vanguard, you'll find them. The Vanguard Task Force, it only has 3 suppressors in it. So I guess if you wanted 2 squads, you'd be looking at the best part of 200 UK bucks. They never did a standalone release for the suppressors. Not really sure why, but they just never did it. Maybe someone with a 3D printer can help you out. And then we've got Calidus Assassin, 100 points. So this is an interesting list, I guess, right? Because you actually do have like 4 pretty good Blood Angels combat squads. You've got 10 Death Company with +1 to wound. You've got 6 Sanguinary Guard with Dante. You've got 6 Blade Guard with a Fight First Judasar. The 10 Death Company have the Fight First Chaplain. You then have the Rage-Fueled Captain along with Company Heroes. You got a couple of units of suppressors. You got a couple of units of scouts. You got a Calidus Assassin. I kind of like this list, actually. I feel like this is something that I would be willing to try out. No jump pack intercessors, which is fine. I mean, you don't have to have jump pack intercessors. I guess he's traded those out for the suppressors and the scouts. I mean, they are a little bit cheaper. So yeah, I mean, maybe if it was me, I'd be tearing my hair out. I would probably actually, if this was me, I would probably actually just take a unit of jump pack intercessors over the Calidus Assassin. I think she's a lot weaker than she was before, and there could be an argument for losing one of these units of suppressors for that second squad of jump pack intercessors, and you would have the points to do that. Like, you could swap out 1 suppressor squad and the Calidus Assassin for 2 units of jump pack intercessors. So I'd probably do that, but overall, I actually kind of like the list. I mean, it's got good scoring options. Suppressors can score, scouts can score. Your Company Heroes can kind of score as well, because your Company Heroes are more about like a durable unit that will stand on an objective. Yeah, I mean, they can alpha strike with the Rage-Fueled Captain, but they don't have to. You also have the Blade Guard that could potentially score as well, the Double Impulsor that could score as well. This is a good list. I like it, Zacharias. I'd play it. He said his plan was to try and threat overload the opponent with melee units. He's trying to set up the dreads and the suppressors and firing lanes. And yeah, I mean, I guess if you were fighting against something like Khorne or something, or even orcs, something that has like pretty good melee, if you were hitting that pretty good melee with the suppressors to just make them -1 to hit against all your other units. I know the Sanguinary Guard have -1 to hit, but the suppressors -1 to hit is shooting and melee, right? I don't run suppressors very often. In your shooting phase, until the end of your next turn, while this unit is in the battlefield, that enemy is suppressed. They just get -1 to hit all the time. Yeah, I like it. I think it's worth a try, the double suppressor. So I guess if you're going to do... I think maybe 1 suppressor is probably better with 2 2 jump pack intercessors and no Calidus assassin, but I think it's super minor. I think this is a good list. It's something I would run. I think you have 4 pretty good Blood Angels combat units. You have a lot of units that can score actions, and you got some shenanigans in there as well, especially with double fight first. Yeah, I've got nothing bad to say about this list. I would play it. I actually played this Captain Company Heroes when I won a GT, and every time I say that I won a GT, that means everybody in chat needs to take a shot of whiskey or whatever else you can take a shot of, so do that right now, guys. And since I won the GT, I've mentioned it twice now, so that's 2 shots. I'm now playing the Judiciar. I'm playing Fight First Blade Guard squad, because I think the Fight First Blade Guard squad is batshit crazy strong. So, yeah, I think this is a list worth trying. Maybe I need to get suppressors on my painting table next and give them a whirl. They could be very, very useful into some armies, that's for sure. Just -1 to hit into a big demon, something like that. You know. Or just a big squad of nasty melee units. Hold on a second. This list, I know because it's the second list, this list came from Patreon. But I didn't write down the name of the person that sent it to me. So just give me 1 second to get the name of the person, because otherwise they'll be like, who the hell's list is this? Oh yeah, it was Limekiller. Random name, but okay. Limekiller. This was a Patreon member sent me this list. Okay. Every time I say a Sangre Guard won a GT, a Sangre Guard gets his wings. Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people are printing out the Crimson Lord wings, so it's probably true. There's some suppressors at decent prices on eBay just now, says Cambo. There you go. So I often buy models on eBay. You can always Google the instructions, right? Suppressors. $15 per suppressor. I mean, $14 a suppressor, and it's painted. It's not horrible. These ones are going for $8. What's wrong with them? They painted badly. This one's going for 99p. Yeah, there's some suppressors kicking around. This one that might be a 3D print. Is that a 3D print? Can't tell. Not sure, but 99p. So maybe eBay is where you need to go if you're looking for suppressors right now. $87 on the Games Workshop website is very expensive. Okay.
Matthew Box donated $19.99 via Super Chat. Your constant review of endless army lists is amazing. I appreciate your time and dedication to us.
Thanks, Matthew. I was actually thinking this week I'm going to do a review of the top performing lists since the Codex, because I've seen a few Blood Angels lists doing pretty well in a competitive sense, and I thought that would be a good video to make. You know, like, what am I trying to say there? It would be a good video to make for like a tactics video, looking at all the top performing Blood Angels lists in the meta right now. Thanks so much for the 20 on the super. Your dedication to supporting the channel with super chats is super appreciated, so thank you very much. All right, let's look at Limekiller. He has Dante. I was going to say, let me just check. This is Liberator Assault Group again, right? Cool. Lamartes, the Blood Angels captain with the Rage Field, the Judiciar with Gift of Foresight, which I think is pretty interesting in the Judiciar, because you could use that to flip one of his wound rolls into a dev wound and basically guarantee a kill on an enemy. And then he's got a Fight First Lieutenant. It'll be interesting to see what that lieutenant attaches to. Okay, we got 10 Assault Intercessors times 2. We got 1 5-man Intercessor-heavy. We got 10 Death Company with jump packs. We got 6 Sangre Guard. We got 5 Vanguard Veterans with jump packs. And then we got a double Land Raider. So I'm guessing Lamartes will be with the 10 Death Company. Dante will be the 6 Sangre Guard. The Captain will be with one of the squads of Assault Intercessors. The Judiciar will be with what? I actually don't Judisaurs go with Assault Intercessors? We don't see that very often, if ever. Judisaur. And then a lieutenant. So maybe the captain and the lieutenant both attached to one squad of Assault Intercessors. So we've got like fallback and charge and all that good stuff. Fight first on one unit of Assault Intercessors. And the Judisaur can indeed attach to Assault Intercessors. We just don't see that. No one does that. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Just no one does it. 10 Assault Intercessors inside a Land Raider with the Judisaur. I don't know if I feel like the fight first is meaningful enough on Strength 4 Chainswords. Isn't the greatest. I guess Calgar's right, you would be able to re-roll the Judisaur's wound rolls, so you could fish for mortal wounds, you could fish for devastating wounds, and you'd be able to flip one of them. Every time I see 10 Death Company, currently the 10-man Death Company unit is allowed 2 Infernal Pistols, 2 Plasma Pistols, and then 6 Heavy Bolt Pistols. I'm like 99% sure on that. We'll check, though. Technically, you can not take any Infernal Pistols, and then you can take 4 Plasma Pistols if you want, right? So for every 5 models, you can take 1 Plasma Pistol. So in a 10-man, you've got 2 Plasmas. For every 5 models, you can take an Eviscerator, so you've got 2 Eviscerators. 1 model's Chain Fist can be swapped with a Power Fist, so you're at 1 Power Fist. And then for every 5 models, 1 Chain Fist and Power Fist can be swapped. So basically what you could do is you could take these 2 Plasma Pistols, your 2 Eviscerators, your 1 Power Fist, then you could go down here and you could take like another 2 Plasma Pistols and another 2 Power Fists. So you've got 2 Power Fists, 2 Eviscerators, 4 Plasma Pistols, and 3 Power Fists. Is that what I said? 2 Eviscerators, 3 Power Fists, 4 Plasma Pistols. It's pretty confusing, to be honest. Or you could do Infernal Pistols. So in that case, you could have 2 Infernal Pistols, 3 Power Fists, 2 Plasma Pistols. But yeah, it's pretty confusing. You basically get 4 pistols, 4 pistol upgrades, and you get 5 close combat weapon upgrades. You know, like, it might have been easier if they just got rid of all this shit and just said, you can have 4 close combat upgrades and 4 pistol upgrades and 5 close combat upgrades. Like, that would be easier than all this shit, right? But I guess this is the standard of 10th edition, war gear. Love it or hate it, that's the way it works. Yeah, so the Judisaur with Assault Intercessors, I guess it's fine. I don't really rate it that highly. 5 Vanguard Veterans, again, they're fine. They're slightly better, probably, than Assault Intercessors, but for the most part, most people just take Assault Intercessors. Sangre Guard and Dante are great. Lamartes and the Death Company are pretty great. Heavy Intercessors are fine. I prefer Infiltrators from a competitive standpoint. And then what I don't like in this list is going like 10 Assault Intercessors plus a Captain plus a Lieutenant plus the double enhancement. I think if you want to be running Captain plus Assault Intercessors, it should probably be the Captain and 5 Assault Intercessors. Keep it as cheap as possible. And then, in this case, I'd probably like drop that Lieutenant because he's 90 points. You could drop that unit of Assault Intercessor to 5. That saves you 75. Right, we're at 165 points. At 165 points, you know, like, you could almost drop the Gift of Foresight for your Judisaur because he is with a 10 and he is re-rolling his wounds anyway. And then you could have 6 more Blade Guard. And I feel like 6 Blade Guard are going to do more for you than 5 Assault Intercessors Lieutenant. Blade Guard are 2 damage. Like, 6 Blade Guards maximum damage is 60, right? Because it's 5 attacks per guy, 6 guys, 2 damage a swing. So you're going to do 60 damage. The maximum damage from like 5 Assault Intercessors is like 25, and then the Lieutenant maybe can do 10. So it's the same points, but you could do 60 damage against 35 damage and The other thing to say is Bladeguard are on 3 wounds, which is an awkward number of wounds, and they've got a 4-up invuln save. So yeah, I think there's an improvement here. And then the Bladeguard would fit the same in. If you wanted to run double Land Raider, they would fit the same in because it's 6 models, and we're removing 6 models. So I would make that change. But maybe, you know, like, if it's a newer player and he's got a lot of Assault Intercessors, fine. But I think Bladeguard are also just generally a lot more scary for your opponent to deal with than Assault Intercessors. Cool. Brian says, I also don't know quite if Assault Intercessors are meaningful enough for Land Raider. Well, he's got Fight First, but if you're charged with Assault Intercessors, you're only Strength 4. So if you're charged and you're only Strength 4, I feel like that's not meaningful enough to be paying for Fight First. You know, like, the strength of Blood Angels really comes from that +2 strength on the charge. So I just think Strength 4 Chainswords are really not that scary to have for a Fight First unit. Just really bored, got his Combat Patrol this weekend. That's ace, dude. I got my Combat Patrol, and I actually got a box of bits from Archie's Forge, so I'm going to be figuring out, like, the charity raffle that we talked about a few weeks back. Baratheon, did you find your way into the Lock and Loaded Discord? How are you tonight? I thought this list was going to be one of the all captains lists for a second. So we're moving on to Phil's list, and this might be one of the first time we've had someone submit a Lost Brethren list. So this will be interesting because I know Phil in real life and he's a pretty good player. So this is going to be his initial test of Lost Brethren detachment. Death Company goes with a 10. You know what? Let's read the list, then we'll come back to the comments because I like to know what's there before I read the comments. So we've got 2 chaplains on foot. We've got 3 chaplains with jump packs, and they've all dropped their pistol for the Power Fist. I think if you're running the chaplain with jump pack, you 100% want to drop his bolt pistol for a Power Fist. Because I think the Power Fist makes him a lot stronger in melee, and you never do any damage with the bolt pistol anyway, so why keep it? And then we've got a Death Company captain with the Blood Shard. I am going to have to quickly read what the rules are for the Blood Shard, because I have not played the Death Company detachment, and I'm not probably going to be playing it for a hot minute. So let's see if we can get the Blood Shard. So the Blood Shard rule is 25 points. The first time this guy is dead, roll a d6 and a 2-up. He comes back to life just out of engagement range with 3 wounds remaining. So this Death Company captain is coming back to life when he dies. And typically, if he dies in melee, he can do up to 6 mortal wounds. So you could die in melee, like you could charge with him, fight, get killed, do 6 mortal wounds, and then he's back alive. But it would probably be better if your opponent charged you, killed you in their turn, you do 6 mortal wounds, then you come back alive, then you recharge in, fight again, and then they kill you again, then you can potentially do another 6 mortal wounds. It's pretty quirky, but it could happen. Okay, so he's gone crazy. He's got 10 Death Company on foot, double Eviscerator, 1 Plasma, 1 Power Fist. He's got 5 Death Company on foot times 2. I was going to say he's going to have a lot of Impulsors. No, only 2. 2 Impulsors. So that'll be the 2 Death Company. No, 1. Yeah, that'll be the 2 5-man Death Company plus Chaplain on foot inside the Impulsor. I'm not sure how we're delivering these 10 Death Company. That'll be interesting. So they're for the double Impulsors. We've gone double Death Company Dreadnought. We've gone 10 Death Company Marines and 5 Death Company Marines. So I guess one will be with the one Chaplain, one will be with the other Chaplain. We've got a third 5-man unit of Death Company Marines with jump packs, and then we've got a Repulsor. Okay, so the 10 Death Company on foot are inside the Repulsor. Arguably, one of those chaplains could be attached to the 10-man rather than the 5-man. So we've got 5 chaplains. The Death Company captain, I guess, is actually maybe the Death Company captain is attached to the 10. Let's see what his comments were. The Death Company captain goes with a 10. The 2 chaplains on foot with the 2 5 in the Impulsors. The 3 chaplains with the Jump Death Company. Oh, sorry, it was 3. So every Jump Death Company has a chaplain. So basically, all the Death Company have chaplains except the 10-man. So everything's +1 to wound except the 10-man. The dreads I'm going to try having in reserve, and we're going to rapid ingress the dreads in turn 2 and 3. Okay, that's a pretty interesting list, actually. This might be my favourite Death Company list yet. What's the total points of this list? It's 2,000 on the nose, it looks like. Too many chaplains. You need chaplains, though, because if you don't have the chaplains, you don't have any OC. You can't fall back. So this list is a bit weird in that it's got like this pseudo chaplain tax. So the way I used to look at it is like, if you were running 2 Death Company, you needed a single chaplain. If you were running 3 Death Company, it was better to have 2 chaplains. So I guess like for so basically the sweet spot there is, if you have 10 units in your army, you need at least 5 chaplains. So like, how many units do we have? We get the 1, 2, 3. Ignore the impulsors because they don't need chaplains. How many Death Company units have we got? We've got 3. The 2 dreads makes it 5. The 3 units of jumps makes it 8. So he's got 5 chaplains for 8 units of Death Company. That's probably like a, like I just said, between 50 and 66%. That's like right in the sweet spot. 5 divided, that's like 62.5 or something, right? Yeah. So this is probably actually the sweet spot for chaplains. In terms of like, chaplains are going to die. At least 1 or 2 are going to die, and you're going to need to still be giving all of your Death Company within 12 inches of chaplain, otherwise you start losing OC from your units. You start losing the ability to fall back, all that sort of good stuff. Jeff says 5 chaplains but no Lamartas and Astrath. I mean, I think +1 to wound is good. As your units get weaker in the Death Company detachment, you're going to gain rerolls to wound. So maybe it's a play on the fact that you're going to gain rerolls to wound, right? I never thought we'd have to run chaplains for synapse. Yeah, that's essentially what it is. You do save a little bit of points. Like Lamartas is very good with a 10-man Death Company. Astrath's pretty good with a 10 and or 5, I think. I think my personal favourite probably on the 5-man is the chaplain, just to give them +1 to wound. On the 10-man, Lamartas or Astrath, in my opinion, are kind of interchangeable. But yeah, so maybe he could have tried to squeeze one of those in to lead the 10-man. Maybe that would have been a slight buff, but overall, I think it's got a good number of chaplains. Yes, 2 impulsors gives you something that can score. I feel like, part of me feels like if you're going to try and run that Death Company detachment, you kind of, like, could there be an argument here for, like, there could probably be an argument based on what you're saying, Jeff. Like, we could lose 5 Death Company with jump packs and a chaplain, for example, right? That would save us like 205 points. We could put in like 2 units of scouts and upgrade one of those jump chaplains to Lamartas or something. Like there's definitely an argument for that. It will give you a little bit more scoring units. That's something this list definitely looks like it's missing. Like you've got your 2 impulsors that are going to score points for you, but there's not a whole lot of other units you necessarily are happy doing nothing and just scoring. So I think this list has some merit, but I think for me, I feel like maybe there's a play here to get a couple more scoring units in the list. I also really like jump intercessors. Like you could just lose one of these Death Companies, which we can, like if you compare these guys for 130 points versus jump intercessors, what do these guys get over the jump intercessors? Well, they get 1 eviscerator. Right? They're 40 points more than jump intercessors. You get an eviscerator, and essentially you get 6 up, feel no pain, and you get to reroll hits. I'm not entirely sure that is worth 40 points difference. Like, I think the jump intercessors are still really good at 90 points. So yeah, if it was with me, I think what I'd probably do is lose a Death Company unit, lose 1 chaplain with a jump pack that gives us 205 points, I'll use 180 of those points to put... I'll use 180 of those points to put 2 units of jump intercessors in. I'll have 25 points left over. I think 25 points left over is agonizingly close to upgrading one of these characters to Astrath or Lamartes. So in that case, I'd probably maybe drop the quirky Blood Shard. 5 Death Company getting Eviscerator and a Power Fist. Yeah, but the 5 Assault Intercessors get a Power Fist, right? So all you really get, the only difference between those guys is you get 1 extra Eviscerator. Unless I'm missing something, I think. Because oh, you maybe get 1 extra Plasma Pistol as well. Sorry, okay, so you're getting a Plasma Pistol, or you're getting... Can Jump Assault Intercessors take Infernal Pistols? I actually don't think they can. So you're getting an Infernal Pistol, an Eviscerator, you're getting reroll hits and a 6-up Feel No Pain, but you're paying 40 points for that. And you also lose the Mortals on charge. Like, you can't discount the fact that Jump Intercessors always do Mortals on charges. And also, Jump Intercessors just have OC all the time, right? So these guys are a little bit expensive right now. I think they'd probably be balanced at like 120, maybe even 115. When the codex, because the points written in the actual book for these guys were 115, and I kind of thought that they were balanced for 115. I think 130 is harsh. So yeah, no, this is a cool Lost list. No one ever submits Lost Brethren lists, so give Phil a pat on the back for that one. Phil, it's like the one time Phil's not in the live chat, because he would be here giving us he must be working today. So yeah, we've got 101 people viewing tonight. We've got 36 likes on the stream. So if you get a second and you can press the big like button, it would help me out very much. I'd appreciate it. Okay, we're looking at CD Saint. He's got a fun one. And his list is called Gold Jail. You have 2 Power Fists and 1 Eviscerator in the 5-man jump pack. Okay, yeah, sorry. So I'm wrong. But still. But still. 2 Power Fists. Sorry, 1 extra Power Fist, 1 extra Eviscerator, 1 Infernal Pistol. Reroll hits. 6-up Feel No Pain, but lose Mortal Wounds on charge. And you're paying 40 points for it. I mean, maybe it's worth 40 points. I feel like if we go back when like a special weapon used to cost like 5 points, really. You know, an extra Power Fist in the unit would have cost 5 points, and an extra pistol would have cost 5 points. Reroll charges, okay, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm being... I just sort of felt that they seem expensive now at 130 points. Maybe it's because they were 140 and everybody had a Power Fist, and losing 2 Power Fists and 4 Infernal Pistols felt like it was worth more than 10 points, right? I never felt Death Company at 140 points with those Power Fists and Infernal Pistols were overly cheap, if that makes sense. Alright, let's look at Gold Jail from... Sorry, what was this person's name? CD Saints. Okay. Captain with the jump pack with Speed of the Primarch. Captain with the jump pack with Rage Fueled Warrior. Commander Dante. Do you know what? The one thing I like about Rage Fueled Warrior is you can literally throw it on literally any Blood Angels character and it just makes them a lot better. You're probably going to have that character get rerolls or Oath of Moments at some point. Strats can only be used by Death Company in that detachment. Death Company Dreadnoughts don't benefit from the army rule? Why not? I didn't actually realise that. Do they not have the Death Company keyword? Surely they do. I missed that. You trolling me, Brandon? Oh, they want benefit, of course, because they already get to reroll wounds because their weapons are twin linked. I mean, I guess the only advantage then you would get is because they would be able to use the Death Company strat. So there is that one strat when they're damaged or below starting strength. You could use this one, right? Improve the attack, strength, and armor penetration of melee weapons equipped by this unit by 1. That would be pretty cool in the Death Company Dreadnought. So he goes to 7 attacks at AP 3. 3 damage, twin linked. I mean, that's not nothing. I mean, it would make his sweep as well 11 attacks at AP. It would be AP3 on the sweep as well. That'd be pretty good at killing one wound models. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's something. Alright, sorry, get back onto this one. Not many people are playing the Death Company detachment, I guess. So double Assault Intercessors with jump backs, double Gladiator Lancer, squad of Infiltrators, a Repulsor, 3 squads of Sangre Guard. Alright, someone's gone big. Someone's gone big on the Sangre Guard. Get out the golden spray paint. I never even realised, I didn't twig. He's got a captain with a jump pack with Speed of the Primarch, he's got a captain with a jump pack with Rage, and he's got Dante. So, he's called his list Golden Jail. It should have just been called Golden Host. Why Golden Jail? What am I not getting? Alright, 18 Sangre Guard. This might be the first time I've reviewed 18 Sangre Guard here since the Codex. I mean, we knew that someone was going to run it. So, CD Saints wins the prize of the first person to run 18 Sangre Guard. How many points is that? So it's 810 points plus the characters 205, 335 plus 810. I should be able to do that in my head. Like 1145 points. Wow. Okay, so 1145 points on Sangre Guard. He's going to lock you in your deployment, hence it's jail. I get you. Thanks, Hispania. Okay. So you've got 1 unit of scouts. You've got a repulsor, I guess, to try and give those Sangre Guard maybe a little bit of cover early game. You've got infiltrators to the backfield. You've got double Gladiator Lancer. You've got 2 units of jump assault intercessors for jump packs. I mean, I kind of don't hate the idea. You could put 1 or 2 units of those Sangre Guard in reserve, so you're rapid ingressing a 6-man in turn 2, you're rapid ingressing a 6-man in turn 3, the one that's on the boards inside the repulsor. It's a Blood Angels take on the Space Wolf jail list. Use the repulsor and rapid ingress to swarm the deployment zone with squads of Sangre Guard while the rest of the army screens and scores. Yeah? What do you think? People like it? I'm kind of at a loss for words, honestly. Like, I don't know what I'd be changing. 3 scoring units, 2 Lancers plus a Repulsor. So it's got good long-range firepower. It's got the Infiltrators. It's got, like, 4 scoring choices. And then it's just got all the Sangre Guard. Here's a question. It used to be that there used to be 25 Sangre Guard in the lore. And then Devastation of Baal happened, and I believe all of them, except 1 or 2 of them, were killed. And now we've got Primaris Sangre Guard. Do we actually know, like, have Games Workshop said anywhere how many Sangre Guard there actually are now that we've got the new Primaris one? In the lore it was 29? Sorry, Mike, I thought it was 20. Why do I think it's 25? I thought it was 25. My brain's old. I'm getting old, Mike. How you doing? Good evening. The jump Death Company Captain is kind of redundant too. Sustained 1 combos poorly with Eviscerators, since they already have it. You're right, Brian. Going back to that last list, it's such a weird choice of upgrades that they gave that Death Company Captain with the jump pack, right? Like, the Death Company Captain with the jump pack, his ability is he gives the unit Sustained 1, and the upgrades they let that unit take are weapons with Sustained 1. If you did not know this, and some people, you know, like, I always like to clarify things because sometimes we do have new people in the stream or new players on. Sustained hits do not stack. So if your leader gives you Sustained 1, but your weapon already has Sustained 1, you don't get Sustained 2, you just stay on Sustained 1. They don't stack together. So it's really strange that of all the buffs they could have picked to give that Death Company Captain with the jump backs, they literally gave him the one buff that does nothing for the Eviscerators. So this captain is just, in my opinion, we covered it in the tier list. I think he's dog shit. I don't know why. It's so sad because I have so many cool Death Company captains modelled. with jump packs and stuff, and don't get to use them at all. Death Company captains feel like rush filler. Yeah, I agree. Angron, I don't know who killed all the Sangre Guard. Was it Angron? Was it not the Tyranids on Baal? Was it not High Fleet Leviathan that killed most of them? Maybe 25 is because it's the round number. Okay, well, I actually don't hate this idea of running 18 Sangre Guard and trying to put the opponent in jail and try and cover them with all the las cannons and score with the jump assault intercessors and the scouts. And one of the captains is rage fueled, and one of the captains is speed of the Primarch. I'd for sure replace these chain swords on these captains. I think he probably didn't do it. Like these captains should have power fists. The pistol I don't really care about. Have a plasma pistol, have an infernal pistol, but their melee weapon would be best as a power fist. Angron and Arcs of Omen killed some people. I never got the Arcs of Omen books. I kind of hate how they don't just put them in a novel. The Death Company Jump Captain could be used with all Chainsword Death Company for anti-horde. But, like, you only lose one attack with the Eviscerator. I feel like Harry, I think you always put the Eviscerator in there if you can. I don't ever think there's a situation where having one extra Chainsword attack makes up for the lack of damage and strength you would have, an extra AP you would have from the Eviscerator. This is possibly the only list in the game that would be susceptible to autocannon spam. Yeah, I mean, autocannons are the ideal weapon for killing Sangre Guard, but here's the thing. Most of the time, autocannons are AP1. So if Sangre Guard get targeted by autocannons, you just, you instantly pop Armor of Contempt, so you're just saving on 2s, and then sometimes you can just save on 2s for days. So actually, I think there's some... I didn't want to run 18 Sangre Guard because I think running half of your army in 3 units that are all identical, so to speak, is kind of boring. And I guess you could have put 2 Infernal Pistols in each of the Sangre Guard squads as well. But I actually think this list might actually have some legs. Just because I've been playing the Sangre Guard and they're horrendously strong in melee because the opponent has -1 to hit and -1 to wound, and then 3 wounds on them is really good, and a 4-up invan on them is really good. So and then if you use Red Rampage on them, they just hit so friggin' hard. So I would probably play this list. I don't have many suggestions on making it better. I don't like the lack of diversity in the list, but I would play it. I think it would be quite strong. Okay. Interesting. I hadn't seen anyone try and do the 3 Sangre Guard yet. 4 attacks with 2 damage weapons with more AP versus 5 chainswords. Yeah, I agree with you, Jeff. I'd always take the special weapon if you can. There's rarely a situation where that 1 extra chainsword is going to be game changing. I think that they just need to update that Death Company. All the Death Company captains need to have an FAQ that gives them objective control, or the Death Company detachment has some objective control. Because at the moment, you're, like you said, you're hamstringed by having to take, essentially... So Phil's list had 5 chaplains. So I think you probably need 4 or 5 chaplains if you want to play the Death Company detachment. And the messed up thing with that detachment is all the enhancements have to be given to Death Company captains, but you can't take the Death Company captains because you have to take the chaplains. So it's just a... Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing that... You know that episode of Family Guy when it's like Peter Griffin is like, you know what really grinds my gears? You know what really grinds my gears is they could have literally sent this to me and said, hey, John, we know you like Blood Angels. You're the biggest Blood Angels channel on YouTube. Would you mind proofreading our codex for 10 minutes, sign an NDA, and give us some feedback? And I would have done it. And it's so fucking obvious, but, you know, you have a detachment that you have to take the chaplains, but all the enhancements have to go in the Death Company characters that you can't take. So, rant over. Let's move on to Blake's list. Let's hope it's, I was going to say, let's fucking hope it's not a Lost Brethren list. We're back in Liberator Assault Group. I know we've got a Angelic host list in here tonight as well, so that'll be good to look at. We've got Astaroth, we've got the Blood Angels captain, we've got a regular captain. Again, I mean, the regular captain with a mastercrafted bolt and a bolt pistol, he really should have, a power fist. We've got a chaplain in Terminator armor with the speed of the Primarch. We have Mephiston. We have a lieutenant. We have the Sanguiner. This seems like a lot of characters. This is a lot. I'm just going to add that. It seems like a lot of points in characters. I generally, myself, try and stay under 400 points on characters. 300 is more optimal. 570 is getting borderline too many. Here's the interesting thing, right? Like, if you look at this list, 265 points of his list are the Sanguiner and Mephiston, both lone operatives, both strong lone operatives. But, like, I guess my question is, and I personally don't think that they are worth 265 points. Like, I would take one of them, maybe, and then have another unit. But I don't think you need 265 points of lone operatives. It's a lot of investment. I generally think having more units is a better choice for the most part. 6 characters is a lot. You know, it's over a quarter of your army. Alright, we've got Assault Intercessors on foot. We have double Impulsor. So, probably going to have a captain in each Impulsor. We have double Ball Predator. I'm just splitting this up as we go. We got the Company Heroes. So, 1 captain, Assault Intercessors Impulsor. 1 captain, Company Heroes Impulsor. 10 Death Company, they'll be with Astaroth. You've got the Infiltrators for the backfield. You've got the 10 Terminators. Jeez, 10 Close Combat Terminators. Even more crazy. He had the Chaplain with them? The Fight First Chaplain, yeah. Okay, can I just say that the Terminator squad, the 10-man Terminator squad, are too... In my opinion, they're not a good pick. I'll tell you why they're not a good pick. I played Death Guard last week. Death Guard Nurglings make you -1 to hit. Their Contagion makes you -1 to weapon skill. These guys only have a weapon skill of 4 up, which means if you are fighting Death Guard and you're near Nurglings, and you probably will be near Nurglings because they're fucking everywhere, and you're within Contagion range, and if you're meleeing Death Guard, then you will be in Contagion range, then these guys are only hitting with their Thunder Hammers on 6s. So your Fight First is kind of irrelevant into an army like that. So I don't think their damage output is better than the regular Terminators. I don't think that their ability is better than the regular Terminators. My opinion of the Terminator Assault Squad right now is really low. And for the record, like, if you don't think Death Guard are strong, then let me just tell you that Colin, a lot of you guys watch me play Colin. Colin is one of the biggest... Colin from the Plastic Crack Kids is one of the biggest channel opponents that I have, right? Like, I play him on my channel, like, probably, like, maybe not every month, but, like, pretty often, right? Like, I often play Colin, and so Colin was at an RTT this weekend. Colin's Death Guard won the RTT this weekend. So I'm playing on Wednesday night this week. I am playing his RTT winning list of Death Guard. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't have, like, Nurglings and -1 to hit and all that horribleness that makes Death Guard good. Apparently his final game here was actually against Dark Angels, and the Dark Angels Terminators struggled horrifically into him. I actually don't know what his opponent got in that last game, but it's the same reason, right? Like, when you suddenly take those big blocks of Terminators and you're able to nullify them, then you have problems. Especially when you've spent, in this case, you spent 500 points on characters, and you've spent 500 points basically on that, 460 points on that Terminator squad, whereas like if you come up against Death Guard, you are just neutered. Hell yeah, congrats Colin. Thanks Jim. Yeah, I was going to make a community post about it. It's the first tournament Colin's ever won. And I straight away was messaging him. I was like, will you play me on Wednesday night with your tournament winning list? And he's obviously very excited to have won an event, and he's feeling very confident, so he was like messaging me quite cockily, is that a word? He was messaging me like quite fighting talk earlier. So it's good because I like playing tough competitive games. So good for him for finally winning an event. He was super close, to be fair, at the GT in the summer. He was literally like 1 millimeter away from going 4-0. Or one point, I think it was like 1 millimeter and 1 point. Like the opponent just was able to touch an objective that stopped him being the finalist. So good for Colin. If you see him over on the Plastic Crackhead stream, you can congratulate him. So the Terminators will hold the midfield with fight first in their high durability. Storm shields for 10 more wounds for enemies to get through. They can also deep strike and rapid ingress to the backfield and complete an action while waiting to be charged. I just think Terminators, the shooting ones are cheaper. They're better. I don't think extra wounds on Terminators is all that meaningful. Not for giving up a lot of damage output potential. You've got 2 impulsors for scoring. Company heroes be captain, lieutenant, one with assault intercessors and a captain. I actually don't feel like, if the only reason you're adding lieutenant to a squad of assault intercessors is for the fallback and charge, you can do that for a stratagem now, and you can do that for free if you've got a captain in the squad, because he lets you use a stratagem for free. So I'm not sold on. A few people have like spent points to add the lieutenant to the assault intercessors. I'm not sold on it. I will probably start Death Company Astaroth on the board in a building towards the center, ready to jump forward and kill whatever attacks the impulsors on the objectives. Could also put them in deep strike for anti-tank, but the 9-inch charges are unreliable. That's why you rapid ingress them, because when you rapid ingress them, you can basically guarantee a charge into any enemy model that you want. The lieutenant gives lethals too. Yeah, but the lieutenant's lethals actually counteract what you're trying to do with that captain, right? Because if you get lethal hits, then you're not going to be able to get dev wounds on the captain. So, I think I don't know what you do at that point. Like, you actually don't want lethal hits, Mike. It's a bit confusing. Yeah, the 10 Death Company, the 5 Death Company, they are a little bit overcosted at the moment. I mean, maybe that's why that one guy decided, fuck it, he's just going to run 18 Sangregard. I do still think Death Company are worth it, even in a 5, even in a 10. I think Astaroth is still worth it. I think Lamarta's is still worth it. He doesn't have Rage-Fueled Warrior in this list. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably lose Lieutenant and get the Rage-Fueled Warrior on one of the captains, right? I think that's 100% something I would do in this list, and then I would try and figure out, like, if I drop these Terminators to regular Terminators, then I'm at 70 points. Then I've got a unit of scouts. So I would feel, if this is what you're determined to run, I would change the Terminators to the Bolter Terminators, give them a couple of Cyclone missile launchers. I would lose the Lieutenant. You already have too many points spent in characters. Give the Rage-Fueled Warrior, and then use the extra points that we just saved for a unit of scouts. Okay, considering that Sangregard went down 30 points for 6, would it be better to swap out Death Company plus Astaroth for Sangregard and Dante? I prefer Sangregard and Dante to Astaroth right in the Death Company right now, but it's quite a bit more points, right? It's like 60 more points or 55 more points. I would have to drop the Lieutenant to fit them. I could give the Captain's Gift of Foresight with left over 15 points. I would rather give the Captain Rage-Fueled Warrior than Gift of Foresight. I think it's better on Captains. Ball Predators went up 10 points, but I'm still keeping 2 of them. With Speed of the Primarch dropping 5 points, the Terminators going down 10. It's close enough to equaling out. Infiltrators lock down the backfield. The Sanguinar is just good in any situation. I don't know. I never run the Sanguinar. I think there's better options. He is only a toughness 4 Marine with like 7 wounds. Typically, what happens when I run him is you bring him in as a miraculous savior, he gets targeted and he dies, and maybe he kills 1 model or 2 models with this fight first. Overall, I'm not a huge fan of him. I think if you're running Mephiston as well, I think like Mephiston or the Sanguinar are kind of mutually exclusive, unless they're your only 2 characters, and then maybe you can take both of them. Mephiston is a wild card, but he has been a beast in my experience. He sometimes soloed 2 packs of 6 Thunderwolves in a recent game, taking about 400 points of models without dying over 3 battle rounds. I mean, that'll happen, but then the other thing will happen is like Mephiston will do nothing for 3 battle rounds, so I guess you've got to be prepared for that. Yeah, I think Mephiston, if you're putting Mephiston on the table, it's the equivalent of like going all in at poker, right? Like, you're paying 125 points, you might win the hand, you might not. He goes both ways. I think if you actually work it out, like his maximum damage is like 50, but he's probably going to realistically do 1. So he'll swing massively. So yeah, I think if this is me, then I'm losing Lieutenant. I'm choosing the Sanguinar or Mephiston. I'm getting a unit of scouts. I'm lowering this unit of assault Terminators into regular bolter, power fist, cyclone missile Terminators. And then I guess, like, if we are losing Mephiston or the Sanguinar, then I'm going to add another squad that can do damage. Because realistically, you've got your Terminator squad that can do damage, you've got your Death Company Marines that can do damage, but what's going to happen is Terminators are slow as crap. They move 5 inches. Even with advance and charge, I feel like they're pretty slow. So you have to, if you don't drop the Terminator center board, if you drop them in the opponent's backfield, they can just run away from them and they'll do nothing for you. You can have your Terminators chase after them with their 5-inch move a turn, they're never going to reach them. So you've only really got 2 big damaging units. And then you don't have Rage-Fueled Warrior in this list either. So you're relying on those captains to do a hell of a lot of work, which I probably think that's too much heavy lifting for them. I feel like you're maybe halfway here with this list. But I think you're going to struggle as well with, like, if you play a Demon's army with 2 or 3 greater demons, I don't really know how your Death Company jump in, kill 1 greater demon, maybe, then they die, and then maybe your Terminators can be in a good position, but if they're not, if they never reach the greater demons, then you're in a tough spot. Flamers don't really kill greater demons. Your captains would have to do an awful lot. I think there's improvements to be made here, Blake. I think for one thing that I always talk about is like having multiple close combat units that can do a lot of damage, and I don't necessarily see that you have that here. Zach says, I missed the start of the list. Can anyone submit? Yeah, I mean, you can submit a list just as soon as this stream ends. Just pop your list in some sort of text format like you see on the screen into the video description. Channel members typically, or Patreons typically, get reviewed before, I was going to say free to play. I guess you're not free to play, but just regular Joes, grey names, I guess. But you'll get, I will get to you. I get to everybody as soon as I can, right? So yeah, 100% Zach. All right, Gary Poole is the next one up. I think I saw Gary in the chat earlier. So, he hasn't played with the new codex yet. All right, cool. So we've got the captain. Heavy bolt pistol, master crafted power weapon, relic shield, rage fueled warrior. Okay, I was going to say you're making me guess. Or I should know this, I suppose, but nobody really does abbreviate it like this. Speed of the Primarch on the Chaplain, Commander Dante, and Lamartis. Alright, good choices all round for the characters, and a much more sane amount of points spent on characters in this list. Like 410. I did say earlier in the stream, like 400 is kind of the limit, but 410 is fine. You know, limits are made to be broken, but they're not made to be broken by like 200 points. So this is cool. You got Assault Intercessor Squad with the Plasma and the Power Fist, and they'll be with your Captain, with the Shield and the Rage-Fueled Warrior, inside the Impulsor with the Assault Intercessors. I mean, there's something to be said that, like, the Shield isn't all that meaningful, +1 wound. The Mastercrafted Power Weapon is fine, but I feel like if you do have the Captain with the Power Fist, I feel like that is slightly better. But it's not the end of the world. Most of the time here you're looking for dev wounds, so it's not hugely impactful. It'll probably improve things ever so slightly. We got 2 units of Assault Intercessors with jump packs. We got a Blade Guard Veteran Squad. They'll be attached with the Chaplain with the Fight First. I think the Blade Guard with the Chaplain Fight First is batshit crazy strong. It's probably my favourite unit at the moment since the new codex came out. I feel like they deserve an Impulsor, but maybe you just can't fit it in. We've got the Death Company Marines. They actually are 240 points now, so maybe this list is slightly wrong, but they are 240 points for 3 Power Fists, 2 Eviscerators, 2 Infernal, 2 Plasma. We've got a single Gladiator Lancer, we have Infiltrators, we have a single Land Raider, we have unit of Scouts. Oh, this is a list that was possibly just before the MFM, so the Sanguinary Guard got 30 cheaper, so you maybe got like 20 points left on this list, Gary. What could we do with the 20 points? Oh, Lamartis went up, didn't he? 110, so you maybe got 10 points. I actually don't think there's much you can spend those 10 points on. Oh, your Jump Intercessor. You might be at minus 10 points. Well, if you're at minus 10 points, you can always swatch out 1 unit of Jump Intercessors for a unit of Infiltrators. Or you could possibly, like, swap out the Land Raider for, like, a second Impulsor and a Ballistus Dreadnought, and that would save 30 exactly. That's probably what I would do, because I think the Blade Guard plus the Chaplain, they deserve their own Impulsor. I'd probably do that. And then a Ballistus Dreadnought would sort of add to the Lancer, so you have some, like, you have enough anti-tank to take out an enemy tank in 1 round of shooting. So we've got Dante plus the Sanguinary Guard, that's great. We've got the Blade Guard plus the Chaplain with Fight First, that's great. We've got the Rage-Fueled Warrior Captain plus Assault Intercessors, it's also great. 2 units of Assault Intercessors for Scouting. Scouts for Actions. The 10 Death Company with Lamartas. A single Lancer, a single Infiltrator. This is really not a bad list at all. Mars, thank you so much for 34 months of channel membership, and you said free member chat. Well, you could have used it for a more meaningful message, but I do appreciate 34 months of membership. Thank you ever so much for supporting the channel for so long. Yeah, this is actually a pretty decent list. This is like tournament worthy list. The one thing that, if you need to save points, the one thing probably worth swapping out here is actually the Land Raider. So we could swap out the Land Raider for a second Impulsor, which I actually think would be useful in this list, because I think if you've got 2 Impulsors, one with those Fight First Blade Guard, one with those Assault Intercessors and the crazy Rage buffing Captain, that actually gives you like quite a bit of board presence. They add to your scoring units as well, so by the time you add the Scouts, the 2 units of Assault Intercessor with jump packs, you've got like 5 scoring options. So you've got anti-tank, you've got a bunch of powerful melee, you've got a bunch of board presence. This is a great list, Gary. Feels self-explanatory. I feel like this is the strongest core style list I can take. Dante the Sanguinary Guard, Lamartis with the Death Company, Chaplain with the Blade Guard, and the Land Raider. The great thing about the Chaplain with the Blade Guard is that they fit in an Impulsor now. So if you don't own like 2 impulsors, it's probably worth getting a second one. I have Alex to thank, actually. Alex is in the live chat. He actually just bought me a 3rd impulsor for my birthday, so I'm actually going to have the option to do 3 impulsors. But I think impulsors are good enough now that 1 or 2 is totally fine. And I have 2 Land Raiders, and I'm on Team Impulsor at the moment. The captain with the intercessors and the impulsor, it gives me 4 melee threat units, just about enough action units, and reasonable fire support. So yeah, the one change I make here is get rid of this Land Raider. Get the second impulsor, get a Ballistus Dreadnought. I think you are probably onto some sort of a winner. Spoiler, my next tournament list is not going to be very much different from this, because my list is a little bit different from this right now, in that I only have 1 impulsor. I'm running Outriders, and I'm running 2 Ballistus Dreadnoughts. But overall, like, in the last 2 or 3 months, my list has been hovering around basically everything that you have here. Little variants here, little tweaks there based on what I'm playing against. The Land Raider is the same points as like an Impulsor and a Lancer. It is, but he said he needed to save 30 points because some of the jump intercessors went up in points and something else went up in points. So I think he said that he needed to save 30 points. Gabino. Are there any Blood Angels list with Knights allies? I haven't seen any other than Calidus. I mean, you can ally. The Wandering Hero rule lets you ally a Knight with Blood Angels. And I think it's possible. I think it's probably quite strong. We just don't see too many people running Knights. You know, we're moving straight into an Angelic Host list, and one of the things that might actually benefit Angelic Host is a Knight. Because Angelic Host is going to struggle to kill big vehicles. So, like, just because we don't have a lot of strength in Angelic Host, we don't have +1 to the wound in Angelic Host. So, like, if I was going to play Angelic Host, I actually don't own a Knight Castellan. But, like, and I know a Castellan's like 500 points, but still, the Knight Castellan is such a cool model. So, like, I would be quite willing to put a Castellan into my Angelic Host list. Not that I'm going to be running Angelic Host, but I do know as well that there is like a conversion kit. I think it's from Legio models. So it's like Legion without it's like Legio. So basically Legion without the N, right? And they have like let me see if I can find it. Big upgrade kit. Which one would it be? It'll be the Sanguinary Armor kit. Yeah, down here, look at this. So this is like a kit. I mean, it damn near costs the same price as the Knight itself. But basically, like, it would convert the entire kit. You would get, like, different shoulder pads, different top, different face, different shield. And basically, you know, Blood Angel's wings here, Blood Angel's wings here, Blood Angel's wings, Blood Angel's shield round the gun, Blood Angel's knee pads. And you could convert one of those giant Knights into a bloody... This is like a project I've been wanting to do for a while. It's an expensive project, but I guess a time-consuming project. But I think it could be cool, and I think they're not like you said. There are not many people do add Knights, but I think if you're going to add a Knight, why not add the biggest, nastiest one? And the Volcano Cannon is very cool. I feel very sad that I don't get to run my Super Heavy with the double Volcano Cannon anymore, because that double Volcano Cannon was batshit crazy. It was like... If I remember correctly, the rules on the Volcano Cannon were... Was it not... I think it was dev wounds. I think it was flat 12 damage. Falchion. I feel very sad that they legends this on me. Because it had... Yeah, this tank was fucking crazy. 515 points, toughness 13, 2 up save, 24 wounds. OC 8, because why not? It had the twin Falchion Volcano Cannon. That's 120 inches, D3 +1 shots, strength 24, AP 5, flat 12, blast, twin linked. Each time this makes an attack against monsters or vehicles is dev wounds. So twin link dev wounds, 12 damage. This gun was fucking crazy. And here's the thing. This model can also be given 2 laser destroyers. So it also had 6 shots at 36, strength 14, AP 46 plus 1 heavy. I love this thing. Basically, like, every round you could just be like, alright, I'll put my volcano cannon at this tank, and I'll put the 6 lasers destroyers at that tank, and you can just lift 2 of your armor units or 2 of your monsters off the table. I won so many games with this. AP5 dev wounds feels overkill. Yeah, but it's very satisfying to just be like, that's 24 dev wounds, please. You know, like, it's just like the ultimate dick moment in 40k. So, yeah, it would one-shot 2 vehicles a turn, yes. And the thing is, I would park it behind cover as well. So basically, because it was behind cover, and it had its guns sticking out either side of the cover, it always had a cover save. So it was like toughness 13, pretty hard to wound toughness 13, realistically. And then it's always got a cover save. And the second they shoot at it, you armor of contempt it, or you used to always use the stratagem that let you, like, if they try and do mortals to it, use the stratagem to prevent the mortals. This tank, I love this tank. It was so awesome. I'm so sad that I can't field it anymore. It's still my pride and joy. I've got it up behind me. It was the centerpiece to my army until they legended it. Okay, we're moving on to Angelic Host. Big tangent about knights. That's what the Astraeus should be. Yeah. The Astraeus isn't really that exciting these days, is it? Okay, Angelic Host. Dante the Sanguinor, the captain with the gleaming pinions, and Mephiston. We got 3 units of jump bag intercessors. They are now 90. We've got a unit of scouts. We've got 2 units of Sanguinary Guard. We've got 6 inceptors. We've got 3 units of suppressors. Interesting. We got a unit of intercessors. It's my first time sending in a list. Dante and the captain are leading the Sanguinary Guard. The Sanguinary Inceptors will generally start in Deep Strike, and everything else will be on the table. I don't really like suppressor stats, however, in them being cheap jump pack unit, they're good for Angel Sacrifice alongside the jump intercessors. Please let me know what you think and what changes you would make. I will say I feel like I could change out the Inceptors. I can change out the Inceptors for unless 10 Man of Death Company and evolve Mephiston into Astrath, leaving me to be able to still shuffle units around in transports. But yeah, this is the current ideal for Angelic Host. So I think the problem I have with Angelic Host is kind of what we were on the tangent with the Knights, is like, yeah, suppressors are 10 points cheaper now. Thanks for that, Benno. And Sanguinary Guard are a little bit cheaper as well. My problem with Angelic Host is, let's say you are fighting against Knights. What are you doing damage to those Knights with? Well, you're not doing it with suppressors because they wound on 5s. You're not doing it with Inceptors because they wound on 5s. You're not doing it with the Sanguinary Guard because they wound on 5s. And the Sanguinor and the Captain probably... So, like, you've got Dante and Mephiston who potentially wound on 4s. Everything else in your list wounds Knights on 5s. I think suppressors are kind of awesome for their -1 to hit, but I think if you run into an enemy where your whole army wounds on 5s, and you've got no stratagems to improve those wound rolls, which you don't in Angelic Host, unfortunately. There's no +1 to wound. The only thing you can do is give yourself lethal hits. Cambo, your Reavers are going to wound on 6s here, are they not? Because they'll only be strength 4. How are they going to help you? The Angelic Ardor helps the Sanguinary Guard. Yes, so the 2 units of Sanguinary Guard can get rerolls to everything against something that has killed something else. So Canis Rex gets mentioned in the chat. But yes, in this list, you need something that's going to kill armor. You have nothing that will kill armor. Like, we could drop down on the bottom line and say, you could put 2 Gladiator Lancers in, you know, because at least then you have something that kills armor. But if you are fighting against, like, knights, they're only going to kill one knight per turn, 2 Lancers, and their enemy's going to have, like, 12 or 13 knights. So you're going to have some problems. I think that's probably why, like, the plus... Do you remember when Blood Angel, like, we go back a year-ish, when 10th edition first came out, Blood Angels had +1 strength, +1 attack, right? Nobody played Blood Angels. Everybody played Gladius. Blood Angels felt really weak with only +1 strength, +1 attack. So this detachment doesn't even have that. It has no extra attacks, has no extra strength. So I like all your choices here are cool choices, right? Jump Pack Intercessors, really good unit. Scouts, really useful unit. Sanguinary Guard, really useful unit. Inceptors in this detachment are actually really useful because you can put them down, kill something, bring them back up literally every turn. You could argue the same with the Suppressors. The Intercessors for sticky objectives is fine. You'd probably be better off taking Infiltrators, but I mean, it's minor. Your characters are kind of fine as well. I kind of agree with what I said earlier in the stream. I think Dante or the Sanguinary, I don't know if... Sorry, not Dante or the Sanguinary. Mephiston or the Sanguinary, I don't know if you take both. It's a lot of points to invest on those lone opera characters. It can work, but I possibly think that you only take one of them. But the one thing that I want to say, like, off the bat is, like, you need to get something that will kill armor. You're going to fight enemies that have armor. And if your whole army only wounds that armor on 5s, it doesn't matter if you've got the 3 units of suppressors making them almost -1 to hit. You're just not going to kill shit. And you're going to lose, like, the war of attrition. So, I think this is why we haven't seen as many people playing Angelic Host, because I think it's a hard detachment to build a list from. In the same way that the Death Company detachment has this weird chaplain tax, and you can't really play that detachment correctly because of the chaplain tax, I feel like this detachment has a weird pseudo, like, we just can't kill armor. And I guess... I just feel like we're not a rounded list. And that means that people aren't seeing the strength or playing it. Yeah, I mean, I guess the Inceptors do have twin linked, so they are your best unit for potentially killing something like a knight. Because Benno just mentioned it in the chat. Inceptors... Let me just do it quickly. We'll just do some, like, super raw maths. Inceptors will go into, like, toughness 10 or 12. I don't suppose it really matters, because it would both be wounding on 5s. Let's see how much damage they can do against toughness 12 then. So you've got 6 Inceptors, you've taken the plasmas, you've overcharged them, it's 2 shots, it's 12 shots. Let's assume we're going to use Oath of Moment, because we're going to choose our Oath of Moment and we're going to drop our Inceptors down, and because our Inceptors have the 3-inch deep strike, we're probably going to be able to shoot what we want to kill. Or yeah. So we hit 88% of the time. We only wound on 5s, but we are re-rolling because we're twin linked. So that actually means 55% chance to wound, because it's like 33 stacked on another 33. Let me check that. Yes, that's right. So it's 50. So you wound on 0.55. That's not right. Hold on. 12 shots times that times 0.55. So they're going to take 5 saves at AP3. Let's just assume that knights usually have a 5-up invuln save against range. So they save a third of them. And then it's 3 damage each. So statistically, 6 Inceptors with plasmas, overcharging them, shooting them all at a single knight. Toughness 10 or toughness 12 doesn't make any difference. Assuming they have a 5-up invuln save, you do 11.5 damage. So you don't kill a small knight, you leave it on like 1 wound. And against a big knight, you take 11 or 12 wounds off of its 24 wounds. So you maybe take half of it. But you're in a... You then have to... At that point, you then have to take the hazardous rolls, and statistically one of your Inceptors will actually die because you're rolling 6 dice, and you're probably going to roll a single 1. and one of your Inceptors is going to die. So I just think this detachment is a tough detachment to make work. Maybe you can make it work with double 2 units of 6 Inceptors. Thanks so much for subscribing, Stratos. I do appreciate it. But I think it's tough, man. I guess that's why we do not... Like, if we look at, like, 90% of the lists that get submitted to the army show, I know tonight we've had 1 Angelic Host and 1 Lost Brethren, but that's not the norm. The norm is we look at 6 lists and they're all fucking Liberator assault group. Which I guess is fine, but I mean, in terms of overall variance, it's a little bit annoying. I would have liked it if... People always ask me, like, people said to me, like, John, what do you want from the Blood Angels Codex? And I said, I want 3 melee detachments that are all competitive. And what we got was 1 detachment that is competitive. Or... I mean, I think there is competitive lists to be built in Angelic Host. I just don't know what it is. Interspatial says, I've been dropping my Inceptors with a Thunderstrike for the +1 to wound. Well, that would actually be really good on the Inceptors, yes. But then you're still in a tricky situation where you want to overcharge them. It's a bit of a scoring detachment versus a killing detachment. I mean, yes... But sometimes you have to kill through score, right? Like, that is a thing that happens. Yeah. It hasn't been the greatest. It hasn't been the greatest overall Codex experience, but I have been enjoying playing Liberator Assault Group. I think Liberator Assault Group, to a certain extent, has been carried by its enhancements. I think, like... I guess all 4 of the enhancements in Liberator Assault Group are kind of good, and in a way they've been like, that detachment is the best detachment anyway, but because it's got 4 really good enhancements, it's just kind of pushed it to a level where it's much better than all the rest. I appreciate the suggestion, Interspatial. Yeah, I guess I do have a Thunderstrike. I'd kind of like forgotten about it because no one plays the Thunderstrike, but that's why we do these shows, so that people make suggestions that some of us have forgotten about. And I guess +1 to wound in shooting could actually be pretty useful for that detachment, but I do still think that detachment needs to bring... Like, I think if I was going to build Angelic Host, I think I just got to start with, like... I'm more of a Ballistus Dreadnought guy than a Gladiator Lancer. So I think at the start, if I was building a Angelic Host, I think I'd just instantly put 3 Ballistus Dreadnoughts in there. I'd just be like, that's my starting point. 3 Ballistus Dreadnoughts, that gives me 6 las cannons, 6 crap missiles, probably re-rolling a bunch of them every turn. I feel like that at least gets me a start where, like, I can kill armor, I can deal with that. Now I can take all the Sangre Guard under the sun. Okay, let's look at Holly. He is our last list for tonight, number 8. We have Dante, the Sanguinar, the Fight First Chaplain in Terminator armor, the Fight First Judiciar with Rage Fueled Warrior. We've got Assault Intercessors times Jump Packs times 2. We've got 6 Blade Guard. We've got Incursors, which we don't see very often these days, times 1. Infiltrators, 6 Sanguine Guard, 5 Scouts, 3 Suppressors, 5 Terminators with the Heavy Flamer, the Stormbolter, the Power Fist, 2 Vindicator tanks, and an Impulsor. So it's a bit of a different list, but interestingly, does kind of have a bit of everything, right? Like, we've got Fight First Terminators, we've got Fight First Blade Guard, we've got Dante and the Sanguinary Guard, we've got the Sanguinar, we've got Infiltrators, we've got Incursors, we've got double Vindicator tank, we've got Impulsors. So the Blade Guard plus the Judiciar and the Impulsor. Yes, okay. I kind of like it. I think overall it seems like it's got a nice variance to it. I can do a little bit of everything. Campo says lag doctrine is a big thing too, because almost any other marine detachment, the +2 strength and the additional attack is just so strong. I do think though, Campo, it's probably not just the bonus to lag that's making Blood Angels so good. It's probably the +2 strength on those Reavers. I mean, I don't know how people can cope with those +2 strength Reavers. They are batshit crazy. Alright, I've played this once. and I've won against CSM. May change out the Sanguinar for something else. Do you know what? If you already have 2 fight first, like you got fight first Terminators, you got fight first Blade Guard, I feel like at that point the Sanguinar's points are probably spent better elsewhere. I was talking earlier about having Mephiston. I think I would, like, at this point in this list, I don't often take Mephiston, but I would take him in this list rather than the Sanguinar, and have him scout the edges of the battlefield and do Mephiston-y lone operative things. I think that would be more meaningful because you already got 2 fight first. And I mean, Mephiston, I know he's fight first as well, but it's a different type of fight first, right? Like, Mephiston's more durable. He's going to do more damage probably over the course of the game than the Sanguinar. And if you've already got those 2 fight first, I think the Sanguinar loses some of his value. He's good against Chaff Orcs, but he struggled against some Legionnaires and Bile and then just died. Yeah, and Mephiston is more, like, a lot more durable than the Sanguinar. He's got more toughness. He's got that 4-up Feel No Pain. The Judiciar with the Blade Guard and the Impulsor took 1 point in the middle with Incursor's screening and just being annoying. Using Oath and the buff to try and pick a unit I really wanted dead. The Terminators come in. Using the Teleport Homer, the Jump Pack Assault Intercessors took flanks. Feels like it needs more long-range firepower. The Sanguinar could be swapped for a Ballistus Dreadnought. Dante and the Sanguinary Marines nearly got completely wiped out after being overwatched by Obliterators after deep striking. Here's the trick with Dante and the Sanguinary Guard. Probably start them off the board and Rapid Ingress them, into an obscured position where they can make a charge from an obscured position, right? Like, it's not always possible, but like Blood Angel, like if you're playing against Death Guard and they've got whatever it is, the Death Shroud Terminators with all those flamers, they will kill so many Marines charging. The trick to doing it is charge from an obscuring position. Can you explain for a newbie what the +2 Reavers is? I'm just trolling, Conman. Reavers are a unit that haven't been played very often. They're not very strong, sorry. If you're a newbie, I was going to say, how newbie are you? Because if you're a newbie, I can point you to a video. Like, what's your experience? Tell me and I'll point you to a video that'll help you out. So you want to Rapid Ingress Dante or any unit you're Rapid Ingressing. You want to Rapid Ingress them to an obscured position, and if you're worried about enemy Overwatch, charge from an obscured position so that they can never flamer you on the Overwatch, right? Like, that is a thing that you should try and do. So you've got the 1 unit of Sanguinary Guard, you've got the Terminators. I kind of like, not many people take the Heavy Flamer on the Terminators. I think it's fine. The Cyclone Missile Launcher is maybe slightly better, but I mean, I think the Heavy Flamer is fine. The double Vindicator tank is very strong. This is the most damaging tank that we've got. Hey Ryan, thanks so much for hanging out tonight. You're more than welcome. 2 Fight First units is good. 2 Assault Intercessor units is good. An Impulsor is good. The Scouts is good. Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that I probably want to say about this list is the Sanguinar. Like, I just don't think you need him. You could replace him with a 5-man Death Company and use them as just like a missile. So you just jump them in and they're going to die, but they're going to do damage before they die. Or we replace the Sanguinar with Mephiston. And then we do some shenanigans with Mephiston. And I know that would put you at 1985 points. But there's not much you could do there in terms of spending those last points. I actually can't see any way you could spend those last points. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think the list would be stronger with Mephiston over the Sanguinar. You didn't even realize obscured position negates Overwatch. Yeah, they can't. They need to be able to see you for Overwatch, basically. So if you're obscured, they can't Overwatch you. And if you're charging from an obscured position, even though the stratagem for Overwatch is a little confusing, right? Like, the stratagem for Overwatch says, I've got it. It says something a bit weird that we had a big debate about it on the channel. It says, like, well, let me just read it to you, and then I'll explain it. Fire Overwatch, right? Your opponent, so you use it in your opponent's movement phase or charge phase just after an enemy unit sets up, or when an enemy unit starts or ends a normal, advance, fallback, or charge. So, if they have a unit of infantry with flamers, they want to shoot you as soon as you start your charge move. So if you are obscured from them and they cannot see you, and bear in mind, you don't need to be obscured from every model. If they have a squad of like 6 Terminators, they'll all have like a lot of flamer shots. If you're obscured from 5 of them, they can still use their Overwatch, but if only one can see your guys, then they can only shoot with the one flamer that can see your guys. You know, essentially the other 5 flamers can't shoot through the wall, right? They can't choose to shoot you at the end of the charge move, because at that point your infantry will be in combat with their infantry, and it's not valid to shoot infantry models that are in combat. I guess I think that maybe means if they charged you with a vehicle, you'd be able to use Overwatch at the end of the charge move. So they charge like a dreadnought into you, then you can Overwatch the dreadnought, because that's fine. But because it's infantry, typically Blood Angels are charging infantry, then they can't charge. Then they can't shoot you at the end. Yeah, Zach can basically read what Zach said in the chat. The same thing goes. So your opponent can't Overwatch you if you charge from a point where they can't see the charging unit, unless they have indirect fire. But then indirect fire is not going to do that much damage in Overwatch, because it typically only hits on 6, and you'll get cover because it's indirect. Conman says, I have literally 0 Blood Angel spares. I showed Blood Angels as my first army, and I've been using your videos as the Bible. Currently I have the Combat Patrol, some Jump Intercessors, and Dante, looking to expand up to 2,000 points. Sounds like you're on the right track then, Conman. Did you see my video on building out the Combat Patrol into a 1,000-point list? Some of the best things you can probably buy for like getting started with Blood Angels is Impulsors, possibly Gladiator Lancers, possibly Ballistus Dreadnoughts. If you've already got the Sanguinary Guard, you're in good shape there. Blade Guard are really good right now. I think Terminators are coming back to a certain extent. A lot of people like Mephiston as well. I think I prefer Mephiston over the Sanguiner right now. Yeah, sorry. So back on this list. Now I think the main thing, Dolly, is I don't think you need the Sanguiner if you already got 2 fight first. I would rather play this with Mephiston at 1985 points. I guess the one option you would maybe have is to lose that one squad of Incursors to get another unit of Assault Intercessors with the jump packs. There could be a small advantage there. Assault Intercessors with jump packs, I feel like, just always do more damage with Incursors. Incursors lost their AP this edition, right? That's why they're not so popular. I think last edition Incursors had 1 AP on their melee weapons, and now they got sustained 1 but no AP. Yeah, so maybe the one play there is to just have that 3rd unit of jump Assault Intercessors. I mean, they're that good. They are really that good. I know that people are upset they went from 80 to 90 points. I'm still taking 2 of them exactly as I was before. I think they're that good. Impulsor is next on my list, as well as more Jump Intercessors. Thanks for the advice. I really appreciate it. No problem. When you have something for a bit of a list, Conman, submit it to the channel, or if you're not in our Discord yet, come join us in the Discord. We have a lot of members in the Discord, actually. Mephiston actually survives, says Gabrielle. Yeah, I think he's a pretty survivable character. So that is the end of tonight's show. I know we ran a few minutes over. We're normally live for about 90. It was 97, I think. I will see you guys sometime this week. I'll have more videos coming out. As always, I've got some good ideas for Blood Angels videos coming up. Please, if you haven't left a like yet on tonight's stream, please consider doing that. Subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, I mean, if you didn't watch any of the tier list video from last week, then that would be a good video to watch next. If you're struggling on like which characters to include in your next Blood Angels list, etc., etc. So have a great Sunday. I'll see you guys sometime this week. Thanks ever so much for supporting and watching and liking and all that good stuff. Take care, guys. See you all later.
I have awoken.
I have awoken. Zuriel, thanks so much. Glad you enjoyed the show.
I have awoken.